We're done with the logistic regression in the previous session. Now we have done one with the continuous data using linear regression. We're done with the other one using a class-based dependent variable wherein we have engaged logistic regression in Rattle. Now obviously as we go ahead, we would be doing more on the classification models. So we would be using the class-based data only. Although you have the option of somewhere doing some of the models with continuous data also, like you can use the decision tree, but most of the times we use models like decision tree and SVM for classification and not for predictions, right? So let's go ahead. Okay, so I'm just building it up from where we have left, right? So we already have the data in here, the data wherein we had all these variables, right? So just cross check whether anything has changed, dependent variable, the target, and so on. You will observe this is marked as ignore because this is just one unique element. So that means it doesn't have any information value, and that's why these variables have been automatically ignored. Okay, good for us. And the second variable is automatically selected as target variable. That's what we have seen previously also. Now let's go into the model part. So now we did the logistic regression model. Now we can engage the other model. So let's go into, say, tree model, right? So when we click on the tree, we have the options wherein we specify that whether we want the traditional algorithm, okay, or whether we want the conditional. Okay, you can select any of these. So if you're using a traditional model, it is using the RPart package. If you're using conditional, it is using C-tree. Okay, you can try with both of them. You can specify the minimum number of splits, the minimum number of buckets to be created. Okay, that means the minimum number of observations to be held in each of the leaf node, right? So there would be no what you can say node created if it cannot hold more than 7 observations, right? That is what you have given. You can tune the complexity parameter also. You can specify a value. You can read through all of this. You can use the help also within RStudio to understand what these things mean. So if you increase the complexity parameter, obviously the tree will not be deep enough, right? So you can specify all those things. We can just quickly execute it. So this is how your tree has been created. Right now, this is because you have in the training set. So it is not 1470 now. In the training set, we have 70% of the data, right? So that is why at the root node you have 1029 observations plus 157, right? So this is about how the tree is getting created. Okay, if you want to draw it, you can just click and it will show you the tree over here. This is how your tree has been built. Obviously there is too much of things over here, so you're not able to see it very precisely. So without changing most of the parameters, I'm just doing the evaluation. Now over here again, for this also you can select what options do you want, right? So you can have the ROC or something like that. I'm just going to remove the linear. I just want the model as tree, and I can do that on the validation data set. If you do it on the training data set, right, based on the class, and you can just say and execute. So it gives you a message that you're using it on the training data set, which can be a wrong way to do it, but there's no harm in doing it. So when you use the same model which is built on this 75% data, you get an area under the curve of 0.83. Obviously it's expected to be high. Now how bad that can go when you're doing it on the test set, that is what you need to see. So 0.74, so there is almost a 9% drop in this, right? Again on the testing, 0.68. so we see that. So it's a peculiarity of tree-based models that there is an overfit on the data. That's where they learn very good on the training data set, but when it comes to application or the testing or validation or a completely new set of data, the classification rates are not that great, right? So mostly when you're using these kind of models in an online kind of format, wherein at very small intervals the models are rebuilt and rebuilt, that's where you would use the decision tree on almost maybe 95% of the data, and the prediction remains only 5%. So maybe you can use past 4 years data to just predict the next day's data and not beyond that, right? So you can expect very little changes in that, right? So you can do the other tests also. You can check for the precision, right? So it doesn't look that great. That's the peculiarity of these kind of models. You can again go back in scores and you can create the file from here wherein you can push this out, okay, and you can get the predictions. Okay, you can do this on the overall data as well. Now let's go back again to the model, and instead of the traditional, let's say you can in fact look at the rules also. Yeah, so this will specify you the rules, right? When you click on the rules, so tree has rules. Rule number 31, right? Attrition, yes, right? So these are the variables which are selected at this node. That overtime was yes, monthly income was less than 3752, year with current manager was less than 0.5, and daily rate was less than 1110. That's where this was 31 as yes for attrition. Similarly, you have other rules. Okay, so you can go through this also to understand how the tree has actually done the branching. You can go back to conditional. I'm not changing much of the parameters. You can do that. I'm just pressing execute. It will ask you to install this package. You can just say yes, one time install for this. So you can expect maybe a better visualization in this case. Okay, so it will be more clear to you. So you see the branching happens over here. So at this point in time, overtime was selected as a variable which was important. So yes came over here, no came over here. So those with yes for overtime came over here. Then again the variable of importance over here became age, then the bifurcation, then age less than or equal to 35, greater than 35. This node terminates over here. This is left with total 151 observations. Out of that, yes is so many, and these are the no's. So this is attrition and this is no attrition. So it gives you a clear picture as to how the nodes have branched out. So if you look at this over here, it shows that roughly 50%, roughly 50 is here, roughly 50% is attrition, 50% is no attrition. That means over here there is not enough information, and that's why the partition was quite equal. This is good. So if I say that, if I form a rule like this, that if overtime and if the job role, if the job involvement is greater than 1, then I can say the attrition is very less. Okay. Now since our objective is to detect attrition, here you see very good information value. So what you see over here is, if a person has been doing overtime, his age is less than, so a young person who has been doing overtime and whose total working years has been less than or equal to 1, these are the people who are at high risk of leaving the job. And these kind of people who have not been doing overtime, whose job role is at a senior position, or you can look at the domains, and his job involvement, as the survey is pointed, is greater than 1, then in that case the attrition is the lowest, right? So this is quite a good amount of information even to analyze the data, obviously for prediction as well. So now I'm just closing this, right? So this gives you a better visualization than the previous one. So that's how you can use the conditional one. See, there's a lot of detail over here. You need to go through this, read through it, and if you are finding any challenges, you can obviously reach us on the support chat, wherein we can brief you on these things as well. Okay, so that is about tree.